Hello, welcome to this video. My name is Sri. In this video, we are going to see how to create EC2 instance using AWS Console. So let's log on to the console and see the step-by-step process to create an EC2 instance. I am in AWS Console. Now I am going to show you the step-by-step process to create EC2 instance. When you are creating an EC2 instance, there are some mandatory configuration steps and there are some optional configuration steps. It is like when you are purchasing a laptop or a computer, you need to know what is the configuration that you need. Similarly, when you are creating an EC2 instance, you need to know what is the memory, what is the storage, and what are the network requirements that you need to give for your EC2 instance. Okay, so these are mandatory, but all other properties and configurations are optional. So let's go to step by step. Now once I logged into the console, the first thing that you need to choose is the region. So on the top right hand side, you will have a region option. So you have multiple regions that you can select, and you can create your EC2 instance, because it is always preferred to choose the closest region for you whenever you are creating EC2 instance, because you will have a low latency. Now I am choosing North Virginia because I am closer to North Virginia. Now once you are into the console and choosing the right region, you can now click the EC2 link here, or you can also type here in the search EC2. Then it will list you the list of EC2 services and related services for EC2. Now we are going to create EC2 instance by choosing the first option, EC2. Now once you click the EC2 service, it will land you to the home page of EC2 instance creation. So there are whole different options available here, but don't worry about all these options. So let me quickly go through the mandatory configuration that you need for EC2, and then we will try to create an EC2 instance. So on the left hand side, you will see some options which are the instances. So there are different types of instances that you can create, and we will see what are these different types in our later videos. But for now, let's assume that you are going to create a simple on-demand instance. And there is another option like images. Image is like you have a standard image software that you are going to use. Okay, and I'm not going to details of the AMI, but in later videos we will see what more details about AMI. The storage, elastic block storage, is the storage that we are going to use for your for our EC2 instance. So for EBS we have different options, and we will see in later videos. Also the networking is also another important configuration that we need to do for our EC2 instance. Under networking we have different options available. So the remaining options are not mandatory, and we will leave it for discussion now. We will not discuss those now. Now in the resources section on this page, on the home page, you will see the summary of all the EC2 instance related things. Now if you see here, I do not have any instances running right now. So we are going to create an EC2 instance, and there are different ways to go and create an EC2 instance. And the first option is either you can go to the running instances, and there will be an option to launch instance. Also, if you see in this section, the launch instance, you will see an option of launch instance. So we're going to create EC2 instance using this option. So just click this EC2 instance and click launch instance. Then it will take you to the page where you can you have multiple tabs for different configurations, and you can have multiple choices that you can make for your EC2 instance creation. So the first tab, there are total 7 tabs on the top that you see here. So we're going to review the configuration in each tab and choose our options. The first tab is choosing your AMI. when you come here, there are different AMIs available. AMI is Amazon Mission Image. So based on your requirement, if you are looking for a Linux mission, or if you are looking for RHL mission, or if you are looking for Windows mission, you just look for your AMI and launch that particular EC2 instance. So if the Amazon also provides the AMI instances, and you can choose the Amazon Linux. So for if you are here to practice the concepts of AWS, it is always preferred to choose the free tier eligible AMI. Amazon provides two types of Amazon Linux AMI machines. The Amazon Linux 2 is the latest version of the Amazon AMI. So I suggest to go with the Amazon Linux 2 AMI. If you would like to go with any other Linux machine, you're always free to choose that machine. But remember, when you're choosing this AMI, make sure that you are choosing a free tier eligible image, but otherwise you will be charged. But your requirement is to actually deploy some on-demand instance for your specific enterprise requirements. You have to choose that particular AMI which suits your requirement. Now I'm not spending much time on AMI, so let's further move on to the EC2 instance creation. So in this tab, I'm going to choose Amazon Linux 2 AMI. Then it will take you to the second tab, which is choose instance type. So here you will have different instance type available. The instance type gives you the ability to choose what is the CPU and memory configuration that you need for your EC2 instance. So there are different categories the Amazon has done for your different configurations. So in this tab, if you are here to practice the AWS concepts, I always prefer and I always suggest to choose the free tier eligible type. So here I request you to choose the T2 micro, which is a free tier eligible. So for this we have a vCPU and also the memory requirement. So if your requirement is to create an EC2 instance for your enterprise purpose, you have to choose the right and appropriate configuration for your EC2 instance here and go with that. And I'm going to choose the free tier eligible here, and I'm proceeding next. And at this point of time, I can actually click this review on the launch, and it will create my EC2 instance, choosing the default options for my storage and also the network component. But for this demo and this video is for explaining the EC2 instance creation. I am not choosing the review on launch, but I want to give you an idea of the storage and also the network component configurations. So I'm choosing the configure instance details. Now we are in the third tab, which is a configure instance. There are different options available here, but don't worry about all these options. There is one important configuration that you need to really look into here is the network part. So when you have to configure your EC2 instance, you should be able to access that network instance. So you need to specify the network that this EC2 instance should be placed. So for now I am choosing the network as the default VNC, or if you have created any other network for your requirement, you can choose that one. So right now I'm choosing the default network, and in the subnet there are different subnets defined for your network. So when we come to the networking part, we will define all this, but for now choose one of these the subnet. But if you do not want to decide which subnet it is, you can just choose whichever subnet that the EC2 instance can choose. And you're going to create a public IP for this EC2 instance, because we should be able to access that EC2 instance using that IP address. So this also, all these three options, I'm just leaving it optional on the default one, because I mentioned here, because this configuration also is very important when you are creating an EC2 instance. All other options just leave it for now. Now the next part is the add storage. Now we are in the tab where we can add storage. So here is the place where you have the option to choose the storage for your EC2 instance. So if you are just practicing the EC2 instance for understanding the concepts, just go with the default one, which is a general purpose SSD. But if you are creating an EC2 instance for your enterprise, you need to know what are your requirements for the storage. So there are different options available, and based on your requirement, what is the storage that you need to choose, you have to choose that storage. But we will define and we will discuss about this storage in later videos. Okay, so now I'm choosing the default one. I'm not adding any other new volume, but if you want to add more file systems to the same EC2 instance, you can add using add new volume. But now right now I'm just going with the default root file system that comes with the EC2 instance. Now I'm choosing add tags. We are on the fifth tab, which is adding tags. So the tags is an optional, it is not mandatory for you to give for an EC2 instance, but giving a tag to your EC2 instance gives you to categorize and to group these EC2 instances for your convenience. So when we talk about the tags, we will discuss more about how the tags are helping for EC2 instance or for any other resource in AWS to categorize and use those tags. I'm not choosing any tags here. I'm just going to the next tab, configure and security group. This is one of the most important step for your EC2 instance creation. This is like a firewall. You are going to define who is going to access this EC2 instance, because this is a Linux mission. Linux is accessed using an SSH protocol. The SSH is accessible on port 22. So there is a default security group already created, and that has an inbound port 22 accessible. The important that you need to remember here is the who is able to access or who can try to SSH to this EC2 instance. So when you specify 0000 by 0, that means you are allowing everyone and to access this EC2 instance on this port 22. So you have the ability here that you can restrict who is the persons or who are the subnet who can access this EC2 instance. So the network component will restrict and will allow the people who are allowed to access this EC2 instance. If you want to add more rules here for your firewall to access this EC2 instance, you can add using add rule. For now, just to access our EC2 instance, which is a Linux machine, we can go with the 22 port SSH port. But if it is a Windows machine, you choose the appropriate port for your firewall in the security group. Okay, now at this point of time we have done all the configurations required for your EC2 instance. Now we are ready to launch our EC2 instance. Now I am going to review on the launch button. So in this space, which is a seventh tab, you have all the summary of the configurations that you have defined for your EC2 instance. So you can review all the details that you have provided for your EC2 instance creation, and if you would like to correct any configurations, you can just go back and correct those configuration details. So hope all these configurations that we have talked about give you some idea of what is required for EC2 instance creation. Now at this point of time, all my chosen configuration details are good and I am ready to launch my EC2 instance. Now once you review and ready to go, let's come to this launch button and click this launch, and then it will ask you to define a key pair. So the key pair is will help you to access your EC2 instance. So there are different ways how you can access your EC2 instance, and so the Linux machines are used accessed using the key pair. So we will talk about in a different video how to access these Linux machines using this key pair. So for now, let's understand you need a key pair to access your EC2 instance. So you can either create a new key pair or you can also use an existing key pair. So this key pair is just like your username and password for accessing your EC2 instance. So this is an extra layer of security to access your EC2 instance. Okay, so here I'm just choosing create new key pair, and I'm going to give it some name, EC2 demo key pair. Okay, so it is always useful to give a meaningful name so that you can identify what belongs to which resource. So this key pair I have created, and I'm going to create to access my EC2 instance. And if you would like to use the same EC2 key pair for different other machines, you can use the same key pair. But for now, I'm going to download this key pair because I need this key pair to access my EC2 instance. So click on download key pair, and the key pair is downloaded, and we are going to use that key pair at a later point of time when we are accessing this EC2 instance. And now launch instance. So the instance is about to launch, and you have different options to go to the instance home page. Either you can click here on the view instances, or you can also click here the ID that is given for this instance. So I'm going to click this view instances, and it will take me to the home page of the EC2 instances. Now at this point of time, you see the EC2 instance is being created, and you see the instance status as it was pending earlier. Now it turned to running. That means my EC2 instance is ready for me to access. Okay, now let's click this EC2 instance and see different other details as part of the EC2 instance creation. Okay, now on the home page of this instance, EC2 instance, you will see a lot of information. The key information that you need to know are the IP address that is assigned for this EC2 instance, because using this IP address you are going to access this machine. And when I talk about the IP address, there are two IP addresses assigned for this EC2 instance. One is a public IP address and the private IP address. The public IP address is this one. So using this public IP address, anyone who tries to access this EC2 instance from internet, they should be able to access this EC2 instance. And the private IP, this is an IP assigned for this EC2 instance, and this IP is internal to the AWS cloud, and we will not be able to access this EC2 instance using this private IP. So whenever you have a EC2 instance accessible in internet, you should always access the EC2 instance using a public IP. So this is the public IP that we are going to use to access our EC2 instance. Now if you come down a little bit, there are some more details defined under each tab, and we are not going to discuss about all those. Let's see what is there in storage and in the networking, because we said networking, storage are some mandatory configurations that we need to do for EC2 instance creation. So in the storage tab, you see the file system, which is EBS type, which is what we have chosen, and it says it is attached to my EC2 instance. That's fine. Now let's go to the networking tab and see what is available. So the details that we see in the networking tab are also available in the home page or the summary page of this instance. So you can get this public or private IP address either from the networking tab or also from the summary page of this instance. Okay, so after this I would like to show how to start, stop and terminate the EC2 instance. So as part of this demo, so on the top right hand side on the actions section, you can do the different actions or different activities for this instance. You can either stop the instance, reboot the instance, or terminate the instance. So these are the different options available. There are two other options that are available here, but they are not highlighted because in the present running state for this EC2 instance, those two options are not applicable. So the applicable actions are just stop, reboot, and terminate the instance. So those are the different activities that you can do. There is another place where you can also do the same activities. If you go back to the summary where your complete EC2 instances are listed, you can choose this EC2 instance like this, the checkbox. Once you choose the corresponding EC2 instance, you can also specify different activities that you can do here. Other than the starting the EC2 instances, there are different other activities that you can perform on this particular EC2 instance. So we're not going to talk about all these options, but as this video is to give you an understanding of creating an EC2 instance and what are the details that you need to note when you create an EC2 instance. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching this video. Keep subscribing my channel to get more future updates on these videos. Thank you.